Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, a registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm really excited because today I'm with a friend of mine, Lennis Perez. She is a wellness consultant and she's going to talk about such a hot topic. I cannot wait. But before she does, I'm just going to have her introduce herself. Welcome, Lennis.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I just wanted to give a quick introduction for those who haven't come across me yet. I am a wellness consultant in strategies. I also am certified in plant-based nutrition and have a master's in chemical engineering. So, yeah, I have a wide range of things that I do.
Awesome. I actually didn't know that part. That's really, really cool. So, yeah, you got a lot of knowledge. You know a lot about science.
Yes.
Science is definitely the core of what we do. So that's really great. Now, I'm curious. I always ask my any guests that come on the show is to explain kind of what you actually do in your role and why you chose to go this route.
So what I actually do is I run workshops and education and information sessions, and sometimes even a cooking demo here and there for companies, corporations, any organization that is willing to encourage their employees to look into a healthier lifestyle. I give them strategies that are going to fit into their lives. I cannot tell you exactly what to do and what your perfect recipe is for you, but I can give you tools where you start playing around with them and incorporating them into your life in a way that is sustainable and easy, because a lot of the information that we may find outside is not sustainable. It's something that we try for 30 days looking for a quick fix. And then it really doesn't pan out, or we fall off the wagon and go into old habits. And I know you talk a lot about this, creating long-term habits. It's not a 21-day fix. It's just creating small improvements, having the tools, having the arsenal for you to, start from small little steps and then build up from there. So I just share strategies and especially go from starting with food and eating, because that's our fuel, to other strategies like meditation, journaling, breathing exercises, because we also need to focus on our mental health, not only on our physical health. And everything is connected. So
yeah. Totally. I mean, well, then wellness consultant is like the perfect title for you, because it's like, that's exactly right. It's not just about what you eat. It's about how you treat yourself. And, like you said, you're like helping your mental state. So like journaling and meditation, all those things are part of it, part of like health living in general. So, well, thank you for what you do. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, we definitely need more people like you spreading out into the world.
Yes. I need a few clones.
Now, what made you get into it?
My own health and my family history. I have a genetic predisposition for heart disease. My grandmother passed away in her 60s from an aortic aneurysm. My dad had a stent put in 2013. My family has had high cholesterol for ages. And, in my 20s, where I felt I should have had the most energy, I was feeling terrible. I was going to the doctor every other month. And I couldn't figure out, medicine wasn't doing the full job. And I just felt that there was a need for me to educate myself, to inform myself, and this is where I started diving in. I had my cholesterol come up high since I was a teenager. So for me, especially the LDL, which is the concerning one, with my history, I was like, I cannot accept this as my path. There's got to be another solution for me. So I I became vegan for a few months, and that actually didn't really work. It made it a little worse. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? So this is when I decided to get to register for the certification on plant-based nutrition and really go back to basics and understand, okay, how does my body work and how food has the power to turn on and off certain genes.
Yep.
And what do I need to do for me to kind of turn off the predisposition? Is it even possible? Right? At that point, I wasn't even sure if that was possible, if I was going to be able to do it. So I came across Dr. Esselstyn, and he had written a book, and I did the whole certification course, where for me, I don't process fats the same way that normal people do. Let's put it that way. So my genes are triggered by fat. So if I eat highly processed, high fat content, my LDL just shoots up the roof. I also need to maintain an active lifestyle. I need to exercise and do those things. So to me, it was just finally getting clarity. And the biggest thing that I noticed, because you don't notice your cholesterol, that's something that you just know once a year when you go to the doctor.
Totally. Yeah.
But my skin was better. I lost a few extra pounds that I was carrying on. I was not exhausted all the time. I was sleeping through the night and sleeping better. So my body was giving me the signs that were telling me you're on the right path. And then when I went to the doctor and got my blood work done, I had cut my LDL cholesterol by more than half.
Wow.
So that to me was, this works for me. Right. Let's see if I can help other people with this. Turns out in 2017, my dad got really sick, so I got him to move in with me. And when he moved in with me, he was on high blood pressure medication, high cholesterol again, all these things. 3 months from switching his diet, I was able to get him off his high blood pressure medication. He doesn't need it anymore. His cholesterol and triglyceride numbers are back normal. And this is a person that it's now 70 years old. And you can see, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, make the little changes and build up on them, and you can see results. So for me, that was just in 2017, I was like, I need to talk about this. I need to share this information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And then,
go ahead.
Yeah. With that, I also, in 2013, when my dad had the surgery and all of that, I was under a lot of high stress. So that again caused some health issues. And I realized how important mental health is in terms of everything else. And that's kind of why I incorporate tools of getting enough rest, getting enough movement, sleeping well, eating the right foods for you, and practicing some sort of reset, I guess, strategies, journaling, meditation, breath work, yoga, whatever works for your mind to be able to alleviate stress.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there were so many great things in there, and I'm sure we're going to kind of unpack it as we kind of deep dive into this conversation. But I think the one thing I definitely want to touch on is like how you mentioned that when you started changing your eating habits, your skin was better, you were sleeping better, you just overall felt better. And it just, we need to pause and just recognize how too many people, I think, are settling for, like, they don't even realize like how good they feel. Like, they don't even know that like feeling tired every day is not normal. Like, they don't even know that, you know, not being able to go to sleep and like wake up and feel rested, that's not normal, right? Your skin, unless it's around, you know, some people have more like, you know, it could be hormonal, like around, you know, females, you know, around time, you know, menstruation. But for the most part, like, the poor skin is a symptom. Right. And so it's just really, I just found that really interesting. And now it's like, you could never like even imagine your life. It's like to have more than like 2 days like that would probably throw you for a loop. Like,
oh gosh. And it's funny because my body tells me, and I recognize it, if I don't get enough sleep for 2 days in a row, I feel like I'm getting sick. I feel like I'm getting a cold. And then the other thing is, a couple of years ago, we went away on vacation, and we went to New Zealand, and the options for me to really stay in the full plant-based, I guess, eating style was limited. And I grew up in Venezuela, so I ate a lot of meat growing up. So to me, it was like, okay, I see a lot of great like farms and beautiful areas. So it's coming from right here. I feel comfortable with eating the beef and the animal protein there. So I was eating that, but then at the same time, we were staying out late. We were drinking more because they have amazing wine. We're in the area where I was. And I think 4 days into it, I was like, I am so tired. I feel so heavy, bloated, bad, not sleeping well. And my boyfriend says, yeah, imagine a lot of people feel this way and they think it's normal. Mm-hmm. I was like, and this is sad because that's how I felt in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And I really thought in a way that was the way it was going to be for the rest of my life, until there was a little voice that said, I deserve better. And I think that was what triggered it, is
totally,
I deserve something better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So let's get into it. So recently, like, it feels like everyone's going plant-based, and it's like kind of the new thing. And as a dietitian, and I'm sure you can agree, as a wellness consultant, like, we want people to eat more vegetables. We want people to eat more fruit. Like, we want them to eat more plants, but we also know that marketing is taking full advantage of this trend and is now basically, like, I just think people aren't truly understanding what plant-based is. And to be honest, I don't even know if there is like a real definition of plant-based, where it's pretty clear that, like, if you break down like vegan and then lacto-ovo-vegetarian and then pescatarian, like, they have like pretty somewhat like general guidelines that I think it's like pretty clear. But I think plant-based is just very broad. So if you could maybe, just tell us your definition of plant-based, or what when you went through the certification, like what they taught you that was, and then I guess we could just like go from there.
Yeah, so I was taught whole food plant-based eating, which is different from just plant-based eating. We're talking about taking a whole food as minimally refined as possible. And I know you've had this discussion in previous with previous guests that when you pick an apple from a tree, you are already taking it out of its natural context. And then if you cook this apple to make applesauce, you're processing it. Right. So what we're looking to do is minimally process. Is not raw veganism, is not vegan in general, is taking the whole food and trying to consume it without processing it extensively. Right. What happens with this new marketing wave, because there's a trend, and I do see it, right? That plant-based is healthy for you. Plant-based is what you should be eating, etc. I love that you said we want people to eat more fruits, vegetables, etc. Plant-based, if you look at how the food industry is taking it and using it for marketing, at the end, it's still highly processed, lab-made food. So that's what I want people to kind of think. Is this made in the lab, or is this something that came from the farmer's market and it was cooked for me, or I cooked it in my house? It's okay to have the foods that way. And also, I know there's a lot of convenience when you think, oh, it has the label, it's plant-based, therefore it's convenient. I can just pop it in the microwave and I have a full ready meal for me. And okay, where was it made? That's my biggest question.
Right. Yeah, because we have a lot of things like, the Beyond Meat the Impossible Burger, right? The Beyond Burger, the Impossible,
yes,
like all
the
those
Impossible Burgers.
Even now, like Dunkin' Donuts, I think is selling it. And
McDonald's and Burger King.
Burger King, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what you're saying is that you know, if it was an actual maybe like veggie burger with from meat, like with peas in it or something,
yes.
then it would actually be considered like a whole food plant-based source. But because those burgers are usually made in the lab,
right?
It's not really.
And they're made to bleed. So think about it. If you're building something, right? Because it's built in the lab in such a way that it's supposed to mimic a piece of beef. Mm-hmm. Right. And I remember attending the International Association of Culinary Professionals conference in New York City. And they had one of these plant-based meats promoters there. And when we did the session with him and he was showing the ingredients and the nutritional content of it, I said, I'd rather eat a piece of cow. Mm-hmm. After I saw everything that it had, it pretty much has the same fat content, but now this is something that is made in the lab. It doesn't come naturally with the animal protein. So to me, when I was reading all the ingredients and all the chemicals, and also being a chemical engineer and looking at everything, I was like, I do not feel for me this is going to be the right choice, right? Yeah. And I know I interview a chef at a restaurant, and what he told me that they offer the Impossible Burger in New Jersey. And what he told me was, well, we see this as an introduction for people who are skeptical of giving up meat. They want to eat more vegetables and fruits and plant-based, as there are options for them that will still taste like meat. And to me, it was like, but still, I'd rather have that piece of beef.
Right. Exactly. Like if it's going to taste like meat, it may as well be meat. Like what's the point then, right? And if we were doing it to be healthier, then that's probably not the alternative. So like, I will say, like, I work with vegan clients and vegetarian clients, and for them, because they're also doing it more so for, like, they have, you know, ethical reasons or just, like, their personal bias, which is fine. And I will support anybody from what they are, but you need to know why you're doing it.
Yes.
That's my biggest pet peeve with so many diets. Like this makes it not any different than like keto or, you know, doing intermittent fasting or anything like that, because in their minds, they don't even know why they're doing it. They just hear that like, oh, my friend lost weight on it, so let me try it. It's like, no, understand what all of it is, the whole thing. So if at the end of this, you hear everything and you're like, no, I'm still, you know, for me, I'd rather have a Beyond Burger than a piece of meat. Fine, totally fine. Just make sure that you understand what it is that you're eating, and then therefore also too, like how to balance the rest of your day. Because you know that there's a time and place for not everything needs to be whole foods. Not every single thing you put in your mouth has to be. But just knowing that that is not, so that the rest of your day should probably look a little bit more balanced and nutrient dense.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's educate yourself, right? It's understand that this is a gigantic business that is out there. The food industry is an incredible giant. Same that you need to understand there's a lot of labels that are not regulated. Correct. And they are geared to confuse you, to make you lie to yourself and say this is okay. So we talked about some of your clients are vegan and they may choose to eat this because they have the respect for the animals and they believe in all lives should be respected. And that is great for you to know that these are the boundaries you're setting for yourself. Totally. But for example, when I started doing vegan, I was like, I can have an Oreo because an Oreo is vegan. And to me, I was confused because I thought vegan was vegan equal healthy, but an Oreo, it's like a sweet treat. And it's like, no,
Exactly.
I was lying to myself at that point. So like you said, it's get to your why, understand why you're making these choices, and know the choices that you're making to be as educated as you can when you're making them, right? Don't let yourself be confused or geared by all the labeling, because what they put in front of that packaging is 99% unregulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah. There's a lot of labels, and I'm pretty sure I've been over this in a couple of their podcasts before. But yeah, there's a lot of labels that are not regulated, and anyone can kind of just slap it on there. So we just want to be careful that you always read the nutrition fact label, you read the ingredients, and you make sure you kind of know what you're getting.
Yes.
So let's kind of back up a little bit in the sense of, okay, so we've identified that there's some things that might say that they're plant-based, but they're not necessarily good for us. We need to take a closer look. What would you say? So you said it's mostly whole foods that come from the earth, so they're plants, but from my understanding, plant-based also could mean like you do still eat meat, you just don't eat it all the time, or were you taught differently?
So I was taught differently, but to me, no extreme is good. So if you go to extremes,
how would you differentiate between plant-based versus vegan versus vegetarian if there's no meat allowed?
Right. So plant-based, there's no meat allowed. The other thing is there's an kind of a branch of it where you don't even consume refined oils like olive oil or coconut oil, because in the label of a whole food, that was already processed too much, right? That was already refined process, and therefore you'd want to use the minimum amount. So for a whole food plant-based, the issue that I see with following a strict whole food plant-based diet is that a lot of people, number one, don't have the time to cook at home all their meals. Number two, they don't have the palate yet. They haven't developed the palate to eat the amount and variety of foods that you need to consume in order to make sure that you're getting enough nutrient. And also you have to watch out for iron and B12, vitamin B12 deficiency, because again, you may not be getting all the nutrients. So what I find is a lot of people that I've spoken with that have tried going 100% whole food plant-based, they, for breakfast, they will eat peanut butter or a store-made almond butter or peanut butter that you can get, if you go to Whole Foods, you can use the machine. So, it's coming straight from the nuts. It doesn't have any other additives, with an apple. And to me, it's like, how much of the micronutrients are you really getting from there? You're not getting enough. So my biggest thing is, if you're just out, I am totally okay for you to incorporate some animal protein, because we want to make sure you're getting all the nutrients your body needs. And then take more than half your plate to be a plant-based source instead of, and make your animal protein aside. But then you really couldn't say or label yourself that you eat plant-based, because you're not eating
that's interesting. So basically the only difference is that whole food plant-based is basically a healthier vegan, because they're not including processed, like things like Oreo cookies, for example.
They're not including, they don't include dairy either.
I actually did. So in my mind, because I didn't believe that there really was like a clear definition. Because then if you look at the plant-based label, I mean, it's on plenty of things that probably also have, other stuff in it that's not. Right.
So this is where the marketing has really gotten smart. And because there's some resistance to veganism, right? Because I know the social media and also news outlet have put a little bit of, resistant towards some veganism because there's some people that do go to the extreme.
Right. And like political views behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the industry is saying, well, there's this new buzzword that I can use that I can say comes from a plant. For example, sugar, it's not considered a whole food plant-based food.
Right.
But sugar, if it comes from a cane sugar, well, it comes from a plant. So the industry can say sugar is plant-based.
Right.
Because it's not exposed to any animals. It doesn't have any animal protein.
Right.
So it's there to completely confuse the crap out of you.
I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm like even trying to think about like, so I guess this is where I really should probably do like more research on this topic, because I think my mind was like, it was more like a flexitarian. Like when someone says they're going plant-based, my mind thought that meant that like sometimes they have meat with their meals and sometimes they don't. They may not have meat every day. Like they try to have like maybe like a completely maybe like a vegan sort of meal like at least once a day or something like that. And they like sometimes eat meat. Like, or if they, or maybe like they're at home, they are like veganish, and then when they go out on the weekend, they will eat meat or something like that. Yeah, that honestly like what I kind of thought it was. And so I think the point is that like, I think the biggest thing, and I probably say this on like every podcast, but it needs to be very clear. It's that so many people feel like they need to label their diet. They like need to fall into a category. You do not need to fall into a category.
Yeah.
Like
don't put yourself in the box.
You don't need to put yourself in a box. You could just be someone who, you know, like I personally, like, I like maybe have red meat like 3 times a year, maybe. Like, and that's just a personal preference for me. I don't consider myself, I don't eat red meat. Like, I don't like say, like, I don't say like, I'm a non-carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, like, I don't need to put myself in anything. I just don't really care for red meat. Like, I just like, it's not what I eat. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to label yourself and pushing yourself into anything.
Correct. And it's funny because when I started my my previous job, I remember talking to the girls at lunchtime. We will go into the lunchroom, and obviously they will notice that what I will bring for lunch, because I cook 98% of the time. Right. And what I eat is lots of brown rice or wild rice, beans, tons of vegetables, a wide variety of vegetables. And that's pretty much my main food dishes look like that. And I remember they saying, "Oh, you're vegan." And I'm like, "No, I'm not vegan." So they were trying to put a label on me. And to me, it's like, no, I just eat what I need for my body. Like I just eat what my body tells me it likes. And it's like, I don't need to put a label on it. So, but they're like, yeah, but what, like, how would you say that? Okay. So I eat mostly whole food, plant-based, mostly, but like you said, on the weekends, if it's inconvenient for me to maintain this eating style, I know I do really well Monday through Friday. It's okay for me to eat vegetarian and to eat a vegetarian dish, or to actually have some animal protein, because again, I understand my body and I know that it's not going to really drive me down a spiral and make me gain weight just because I chose convenient over fixing myself into a label that's restrictive and doesn't feel well. And this is where I talk about mental health. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because if you are restricting yourself and punishing yourself for not fitting into this category, like everybody else is trying to label you, what is that doing to your mental health? Right. How is that causing you anxiety? How is that bringing you negative thoughts about yourself and your self-image? And it's just not healthy. Right. So understand that you are doing well. You're eating for what your body needs. Why are you doing it? Like you said, and just, stop with the labels, stop with the boxes.
We don't need to label things. But okay, so I definitely want to talk about I have a few questions that I want to just make a couple points. So one thing you said is like, you know what your body needs. So like, and what makes you feel good. And you have a history of high cholesterol. So, and it's by going this way has helped you. And which I've heard, and I've read tons of studies, is like, it really can be like the best medicine. So I think that's number one, is you have this history and there's like a real reason why this would benefit you versus taking medication. The other thing you mentioned is something for you, like beans work well with your body. I know plenty of people with irritable bowel syndrome who just cannot eat beans because it literally just like bloats them and just sends them. It's just not, it doesn't work for their body. That's their body. Okay.
Right.
The other thing is you mentioned like on the weekend, sometimes what I found when I was a vegetarian for 5 years and a vegan for 1. When I noticed that the vegetarian and vegan options at most places were like a piece of bread, or like they were nothing nutritious. They were that you were very. So what you're saying is you're not saying like, oh, you eat, because as I hear people do this too. Oh, I eat vegan or I eat well Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend it's a free for all, and then they're going for like ice cream and all this, just like any other.
Yeah, French fries and all
that
fried
stuff. That's not what you're saying. You're saying that it's convenient in the sense that like, you feel like it's going to nourish your body a little bit better, it's going to feel better, then you're going to choose that.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to highlight that. Then I wanted to just ask you, is tofu and tempeh and seitan, are they considered whole food plant-based? Because I feel like those are great protein alternatives.
Yes. So they are considered whole food plant-based. Yeah. Okay. Even though like they are.
And soy milk too?
Soy milk is also, I just
wanted to make sure, because I feel like a lot of people, that's a whole other topic when it comes to soy, but as a processing, I was just wondering like if that was acceptable.
Yeah, it is acceptable. And there's a lot of plant-based dishes that use tofu to make sauces. They're great. Like if you get the soft tofu, I personally don't like the taste, so I don't eat it myself, but I know there's a lot of great recipes where you can use it, and it is considered a whole food plant-based. Okay. Yes, and tempeh was tricky for me the first couple of times I was trying to cook with it, because it does have a very strong flavor. So I felt that I had to like mask it with, and pretty much I ended up making like a coconut curry tempeh to kind of tone down the taste of it, because to me it was so strong. But yeah, it is considered a whole food plant-based. So yeah. Again, is a matter of, like you said, with it, and it's funny that you mentioned beans. For some people, are definitely not the way to go, and I do see it in my house. So we have pretty much 3 adults that are in 3 slightly different eating styles, but we still manage to make food for all of us. So my dad does need to eat animal protein because he has a low absorption of iron. He has some health issues that are there that I know he still needs to avoid for him to become anemic, etc. It's good for him to have at least 4 to 6 ounces of meat per meal. And then my boyfriend cannot eat more than 2 tablespoons of beans, because then he will get immediately bloated. Like it's just instantaneously. Yeah. So to me, it's just, he knows his body. He listens to his body. He will try and eat some, but he doesn't eat a full bowl of black beans like I can. I can sit down and eat a full bowl, and it doesn't do anything for me in terms of bloatness. And it's just
that's amazing. Yeah, no, I was bloated for 5 years. I literally, I say it in my TED Talk. Like, I don't get into detail about it. I had to take parts out, but it'll be in the book. But it was like, I never once considered like, maybe this doesn't work for me. I'm so committed to being a vegetarian. And I'm like, no, this is what I have to do. But like, I was bloated for 5 years.
Yeah, right. And then that's the other thing. If you are genetically predisposed to diabetes, for example, and you're eating a lot of sweet potatoes and a lot of really high sugar, high carb foods, just because they're plant-based doesn't mean that they're going to help you.
Right.
So you really have to know and understand your genetic predisposition, what your body likes, and see how it reacts to foods.
Right.
You have to look at yourself, look at in the mirror and say, what do I need? So what does Lennis need? What does my body want? Stop with all the labels, stop with all the noise. Don't fit myself into a diet plan. I played around for more than 15 years and I found this to be the thing that worked for me. And I will maintain it for as long as it works. And probably when I'm going through menopause, I may have to change my diet because my hormones
I'm going to
be
quote you at one point. I'm going to maintain it as long as it works.
Exactly, because our bodies are constantly changing, especially as women.
Yeah, no, that was huge. That was huge because sometimes I find I really do tell people like you can find something that you can follow for life, but then my mind's like, but when you become like, you know, maybe you might have to change it like in your middle age or like as you get older, like
right.
You know, so like to say life is like a lot, but maintaining it as long as it works is like so perfect.
Yes, it is. I don't know what my hormones are going to do when I hit menopause, so maybe I need to completely change what I eat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or I may start gaining a lot of weight because I eat a lot of carbs.
Yeah. And
then my body metabolism may slow down. I don't know. I just have to be in tune with my body.
100%. Yes. I love that so much. That was perfect. Okay, so let me ask you this and then we'll kind of wrap up. So if someone did want to kind of learn more about plant-based or go more plant-based, well, if they want to learn more about plant-based, I'll tell them to follow you. So I'm going to back that up. But like when you go into like these wellness, you know, when you go to, you know, to these different locations and you educate them, like what do you usually tell them would be maybe like one or the first step that they could do to start maybe going more? They don't have to go completely plant-based, but maybe just eat a little bit more plants.
So start with your grocery list. That's the easiest place for you not to overwhelm yourself. Is just look at your grocery list and look at how much time are you spending in the produce section. If you spend most of your shopping in the middle aisles and the surroundings and barely touch the produce section, start adding one or two things from that area.
Love that.
And then just give yourself a couple of weeks. I'm going to add a bag of apples and a set of bananas on my grocery list until you become used to walking through that aisle. And then you start getting more curious about everything that you can find in there because there's a lot of different colors. And that will be my number one. And the next step after you start familiarizing yourself with the produce aisle, I will say, look at how many colors you have on your dish. The whole eat the rainbow, even though it's been like said for thousands and thousands of years, I feel in a way it's true that we want to have more color in our plates. So aim for 4 colors. Just aim for 4 colors when you're starting, and make sure that,
Let's give an example. And also, let's give an example of what those 4 colors would be. And then let's talk about white vegetables. Go.
Yes. So I aim for purple or red. I aim for green. I always aim for green.
Green is an important one.
Yes. If you aim for 2 colors, make sure there's one that's green.
Yeah, I would say that.
I usually have, yes. So greens, purples, I do browns, and then yellow. Those are my 4 go-to colors. Or if it's not yellow, it will be orange. So the purple, I get it either from beets or from red onions or from red cabbage. The green, I mean, spinach, kale, collard greens, chard, Swiss chard. Like I love greens. They and my body loves them. Yeah. And then when we go to brown is usually either some sort of beans that will be brown or brown rice. Again, I'm do totally fine with carbs and with grains, and orange or yellow carrots, zucchini. I'm a fan of zucchini. Yellow squash. Yeah, those are the pretty much the colors that I always try to have. And mushrooms also for brown. I love mushrooms. Mushrooms are my favorite. Shiitake, baby bella, portobello, any mushroom. Just yes.
So good. And then it's funny because one of my clients asked me this, and it's so true. We hear like you should avoid all whites. So like people will avoid like, the obvious, like white bread, white rice, even white potatoes, which I think is silly.
Right.
But then someone asked me, like, does that mean I shouldn't have cauliflower or cabbage? And I was like, no, you can have all of the whites.
Right.
Like, definitely, like, obviously there's some exceptions.
Yes, don't take it so literal.
Yeah, like.
White mushrooms,
white
right?
Is color. Yeah, white is a color.
Yes, yeah. No, I love cauliflower and yeah. There's so many great white vegetables that you can have, and like you said, potatoes.
Yeah,
too.
sometimes like your plate doesn't look that colorful. Like think about it, if you had like black beans, white cauliflower, and like white cabbage or something like that. Like it's not going to be colorful, but it is still nutritious.
It is, exactly.
So that rule doesn't always apply, but in this situation, usually chances are if you're usually not eating enough vegetables and you eat maybe like too much meat or, chances are then you could afford putting more color on the plate, especially the green. I think that might be like the biggest takeaway for people.
Yes.
More green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to add or comments or anything that we didn't touch on today?
Just to share for people, when you're starting out, it may feel overwhelming at the beginning. Just be gentle with yourself and be easy with yourself and pick one small thing at a time and just stick with that one thing and then just build up from there. Don't try to eat the whole elephant at once. Just start one thing at a time. And the other thing is, if you're having trouble figuring it out, and this is from personal experience, my dad had developed a lot of allergies, and one of the issues that his health issues is with the skin. And they said collagen is great for your skin, bone broth is great for regenerating the skin, etc. So I was making bone broth for him. I was making all these different things. Turns out he's allergic to gelatin, which is derived from, so it was making it worse instead of better.
Wow.
So if you're having some trouble with the foods that are labeled as everybody's telling you eat more fruits and vegetables, and then all of a sudden you're seeing some reactions in your body, please go to your doctor, get tested for allergies. It's so important to understand that, to really learn what your body is it's good with and what it may be harmful, even if people say it's healthy. He's hardly allergic to blueberries. And blueberries are amazing. So again, it's like these two easy examples. Do not rely just on the information you find online. Just work with a professional, work with a dietitian, go work with a doctor, build your team. You deserve it. You can totally build a team that's going to help you thrive.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing. So where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or learn more from you and get more of your content?
Yeah, so I have a website, lennisperez.com, super easy. I have a lot of resources there, and I have under the resources, there's a free wellness bundle kit that I prepare for anyone that's either looking to get started or reset their habits. This is an amazing 19-page that I created for people to start their journey or to reevaluate their wellness journey. And then YouTube, I have a lot of resources and video, over 100 plus videos on YouTube. You can find me under Lennis Perez TV. And that's those are my two places where I will recommend you to go to. And then Instagram, I'm there more personal, DM me directly. But if you're looking for resources and information, And to learn more about the work that I do, definitely YouTube and the resource page on my website, lennisperez.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Guys, go follow her. Get that free wellness bundle kit. And your YouTube channel is really nice. I love like the intro video. It's like really good to be done. It's really great. So she's definitely a positive influence to follow. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys like this episode, screenshot it, share it on your story, tag me, tag Lennis. If you're not already subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, subscribe. That's it. Thank you so much. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.